Hey, hello guys, welcome to another video. And on this video today we want to talk about growth promoters, which most of you call as boosters. So we want to cover this thing because there are a lot of poultry farmers who are using boosters and they are not using it accurately. So let's dive in and let's go ahead and see how we can use these boosters. So boosters, of course, we know these are growth promoters, and on these growth promoters there are supplements which have been selected and they are put into that package which we use as booster. So there are supplements which are put in. So now let's not do away with our biosecurity measures, good quality management. Let's not take away that because we are going to use boosters. So the advice I can give to poultry farmers is, when you start using boosters, especially when you are starting up, don't just pick up the feed that you find in the market that is cheap and say like, I'll use booster and then the birds will grow, there's no problem. No. Miracles like that don't happen. Everything counts when it comes to poultry farming. Good quality feed, biosecurity. Even if you're going to use booster, make sure all these are in order. So number one, what I'll mention is good quality feed. When you have good quality feed for your birds will grow very well. Sometimes not even using booster. They'll grow the same way as the person who has used booster if you have good management. So on this video we want to talk about the use of boosters and how we can use boosters. So the challenge comes to poultry farmers when to start using boosters. So the correct and accurate time for you to start using booster is the time when you have your birds now start taking feed which is grower. During that process of starter feed, of course the birds are still going through the development of the feathers, the development of fibers, proteins, and bones. They are still coming up. So that one, on that time, it's not the proper time for you to start using boosters because the muscles and the bones are not yet strong enough to carry out the heavier weight. So the only accurate time for you to administer booster, which is a growth promoter, is the time when you start using grower. And it's not the first time you start using grower. It needs to be at least a time whereby you see your birds, at least the way they are growing, they have matured to carry up at least heavier weights. Then you can start using booster. So that usually starts in the third week. And the good part of starting in the third week of using booster is because in the first 2 weeks to third week, which means going into the other week, you've already covered up with your vaccine schedules. You are done with your vaccine schedules, which is a proper and a good way for you to start your administering of boosters. So of course we know these boosters, they increase the intake of feed for our chicks. Of course they have a lot of appetite, and the challenge that comes in is this: a poultry farmer who administer booster to their chicks, then you find like they don't have feed in their storehouse that they need to give to their birds. It becomes a challenge, especially if poultry farmer is financially unstable to give the feed that is needed. So you find like now they start now starving the birds. Just imagine you give your birds appetito, which is they have more appetite, then you start starving them because you don't have feed. So make sure you have feed before you start using boosters, because when your birds start starving, they'll start having stress, and when start having stress, of course we know stress triggers a lot of diseases, a lot of infectious diseases to our birds. So make sure you have feed, and I'm sure you know the proper time when to administer booster. Then of course we know these boosters with the supplements which they've put in, there are some supplements which act as antibiotics. Of course we know like in boosters the supplements which are found there are vitamins, probiotics, and amino acids, and minerals. So most of the time in these boosters, when we are checking out, let's check out and see what is it that is in the package that we are picking out, because they are on these boosters, they've carefully selected the supplements which at least they have a maximum of protecting your beds from catching up other diseases. So which means these supplements which are there, they are able to boost up the immune system of your beds to protect the beds from getting affected with infectious diseases. So boosters, of course, they contain vitamin A, D, E, B12, electrolytes, and biotin, which works to make sure, your chicken's legs and bones are strong enough to hold up that heavier weight for your beds. So, of course, according to what I've said, administer boosters when the beds are 3 weeks going up, when you are done with your vaccines. Then secondly, like I've mentioned, just because you are going to administer booster, then you get a cheaper feed, that thing won't work out for you. I'm telling you, you will find it a loss. You will administer booster over and over and over, and then you won't find change. Then do you know what happened? The beds will start getting affected with the infectious diseases. So you need to be careful with the kind of feed you are using. How good is the feed you are using? Even if you're going to use booster, like I've mentioned, get a good quality feed. This is a very, very important point that I'm trying to make here. Number 2, your biosecurity. It needs to be intact. If you manage all those, you are going to get a very outstanding, good growth, healthier beds in your flock. So make sure biosecurity, your food, everything be in order. Good quality feed, number 1. I've repeated this one several times because it's the most important one, because poultry farmers take advantage of this booster. Like, no, I'll use this feed, even if it's cheap, I'll buy booster, then their beds will get boosted up. Oh man, you're making a mistake. You are making a mistake. And make sure you are financially stable again, so that you make sure your beds can eat. If they have appetite, they'll eat. Then let's go ahead now. Booster you administer at a certain point. There's a time when the beds are 4 weeks old. When they are 4 weeks old, the beds, they gain a lot of weight. And it's a time when we now have arrangements of feeding our beds. We feed them for probably 3 hours, then we leave them for 6 hours without eating, then we feed them again for 3 hours, then 6 hours again, we leave them without feed. So now imagine that process, that the beds, they don't have feed, then they have a lot of appetite. So which means you administer booster from 3rd week. All 3rd week you administer that. Then on the 4th week, you need to adjust the use of booster, because it's a time you need to make arrangements of how your beds are supposed to eat. Which means, because at 4th week, that's when a lot of people will experience a lot of death. Why? Because beds are putting a lot of weight, and then they are not given time to digest that food which is inside. Now imagine with the booster, they have a lot of appetite. Then you starve them. What will happen? Of course, eventually an infectious disease will come in, because the minerals now are being used up on that appetite they are having. The minerals, the proteins that are supposed to protect the infectious bacteria to get into your chick. Of course, proteins, minerals, and vitamins and fats, all these they protect. There's a certain way they scientifically protect the chick from having infectious diseases. So in the 4th week, because we want to now make arrangements on how the beds are supposed to eat, so that we don't encounter a lot of sudden deaths. So 4th week, of course, like I've mentioned. So which means you need to be tricky, and then you need to be careful. You need to use collecting knowledge when now using boosters. It takes a poultry farmer's knowledge to administer booster correctly. So on the 4th week, of course, you need now to adjust, which means your birds now are eating very much, and then you need to give them chance. So which means you need to check up your birds all the time so that you will see how they are performing. So booster, you need to make sure. So guys, when you are using boosters, have the correct information about booster. So I've given you the information you need. If you haven't understood, watch the video again and then try to understand exactly what I'm trying to give you. So booster needs correct information for you to administer it. So guys, this video was all about how you can use booster and how accurately the time you can start using booster. Of course, we know the birds grow because of the multivitamins which are put in there. Some are giving the birds more appetite. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any video that we put in here, because the contents we put on the video, they are very well. So consider subscribing for more videos and so that you can learn more about poultry farming. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.